Here's my quick reflection on first week of this human resource management, advanced human resource management class. The readings are very interesting. The first one I want to talk about is the higher education news that I saw, which was similar to what I've been seeing on my drive to school. That I've seen a little elderly person in a graduation suit, and the note says it's never late. And that was similar to what I read in the higher ed news part, how community college enrollment has been increasing, and particularly the age group that you notice change is from 50 plus, or 40 and 50 years old. And that comes with a challenge, because in the readings for higher ed class in the Glacier's book, I saw that the technology trend, not necessarily learning about technology, but the technology has been even Christina Hannon mentioned that every 18 months there's a new layer of technology. So technology could be challenging for this age population. Not necessarily because it's hard for them, but the way we learn. Even for myself, even in my late 30s, I find some of the technology I need to deliberately learn some of those aspects. So that change is challenging, and I teach online classes. I saw that news talked about students' preference over online to in-person classes, and that there's still a lot of students prefer to have online in-person classes. And I can tell from my experience, there's quite a difference how you use technology, how you facilitate the class. Those aspects are different. So in my understanding, that if we were to continue with this new trend, or ongoing onboard of this new population in community college, we need to find a way to demystify that technology should be easy to adapt and also equipped with necessary skills, especially for the faculty, to guide this growing student population. And in terms of Christina Hannon's insightful talk, it really gave me the inside view of the ground level work, what happens throughout the hiring process, how those interview questions are picked and how they are coined. And I wanted to know more about the ethical and the legal aspect when somebody is not hired in the final round or the higher level round. What is the ethical ground for the institution to inform these candidates? It's fascinating how there is no standard approach to inform the candidates about their application or their selection or not being selected. And in terms of equity-minded faculty hiring practices, I love the article. It was such a good reflection in those equity-minded areas. And of course, overview reminded us that in 2024, we still have such a high rate of underrepresentation of Black, Latinx, Native, and Asian American faculty across the nation, which is close to 11%. So despite the change in demographic in our college students or higher education students, we still see that there is underrepresentation. What was almost like hilarious was the rationalizing, not the reasoning, rationalizing that institutions provide for not hiring diverse faculty, despite overwhelming evidence from research and education board advisory board report that I've seen, and also advocacy for student success, that diverse faculty is still a problem. Even for our school, CSUSB, in CSUSB 2025 initiative, there was a report from the board director. The review director mentioned that you need to diversify your faculty members, and still it's a concern. And this document gives you a really nice application and practice how you can change, not only at the one point of hiring, but at the beginning of hiring. How can you diversify the pool and keep that equity minded at the beginning of hiring, but also apply during the hiring process or onboarding process? You continue to examine personality, the attitude, the language choice, how those new hiree could reflective of this equity mindedness, and also using the same equity minded practice for evaluation after the hiring process. when I think of my own evaluation at the CSUSP, I see that there are many areas that can change. For example, as an adjunct faculty, I'm only evaluated on my teaching role. However, I had a lot of opportunities to play different roles on campus. For example, I have been representative of CFA, I've been representative of Faculty Senate for lecturers, I mentor students, I guide students in research, I guide them in their graduate study program and find the programs and write recommendation letters, all those which is not a part of my evaluation. I can write about it, but I'm not required. So if you think of, the composition of our faculty, at least 50+% of classes are taught by adjunct, and the way we are evaluated is not really equity minded, because by definition, if it is equity minded, you do the teaching job, are you assessed based on all the roles that you play compared to tenure track faculty versus lecturers. So it's not the same practice, and which also affect my motivation, my perspective about school. So I can imagine using this equity-minded practice in all three levels, before, during, and post-hiring, especially in the CSU system, because if we can change that culture, if we can bring that equity-minded practice to our school, we are impacting more than 50% of our faculty. Not only that, we are also influencing close to 500,000 students' life, because as you change that hiring process, as you adapt more equity-minded, like the questions I saw, those are fascinating. I even took some notes for myself for future. If we can bring that into CSU system, that will really up our game against the current trend. We are teaching more online classes, and we are constantly hiring new faculty. And if we have this practice for pre, during, and post hiring process, that will make a huge impact. And I'm really enjoying the reading part, which talks about the role of shifting the role of human resource managers and giving those roles to the employers, so the human resource managers can focus more on strategic work, strategic context, which is really fascinating. And those are some of the reflections, and I love this more like a video reflection rather than always writing. So thank you.